Welcome to The Grind with Chris, where raw conversations meet real growth with life-changing perspectives.
In episode 8, we talked about adders, how they add value, how they uplift you, how they are there when you need them to encourage you. But now we're going to talk about people who take away from you, people who slowly drain your energy. These people don't necessarily know that's what they're doing. They don't mean to. Subtractors can be dangerous. So in this episode, we're going to discuss them. We're going to learn about them, how to spot them, not how to judge them, but how to discern and how to possibly space ourselves away from them so we don't allow them that control in our life anymore. I'm not telling you to go and hate everybody that you know, to completely cut them off. But I am telling you that we need to discern from them so we can keep them at a distance. We might want to try and help them to eliminate their subtracting behaviors, their subtracting mentalities. But if you can't and they're not willing to, maybe cut it off. Maybe keep them far enough to where they don't have the effect on you no more. I want to welcome you to the PowerOfPeople, Subtractors. Again, as I will do in every episode, I have to give the credit to Dr. VernaCorneliaPrice. She's the one who wrote the book that I read while I was in prison. This book right here. I suggest that you go and get it. I believe I bought it at Amazon. I don't think it's a New York Best Time seller, but I do think that it has a lot of value, and a lot of people don't know about it. And if you want a more in-depth conversation, a more in-depth look at everything that we're talking about, read that book. And then if you make changes, if you find good things from it, go and message her on social media. You can find her. She's on Instagram, she's on Facebook, and tell her about the positive effect that her book had on your life. Her and her husband used to volunteer their time and come into the prison and talk to people and help them to change. I unfortunately never got to meet her. I seen her, but she was always so busy and they had their own thing going. I was always off in a different group, but the book has changed my life, and it's still continuing to, because when I read it, I'm having more of an impact on me. The book has never changed. I have. So I suggest that you go, thank her, read it, learn from it. So now we need to talk about those that take away from you. Not all harmful people are evil people. Many subtractors don't realize what they're doing. They don't know about it. It's a behavior that they know, that they're comfortable with, because a lot of people don't know this concept. They don't know this framework. So they're not seeing themselves in this angle. They're just being them. But as we grow, we begin to start to see these behaviors. But we need to use it to our best of knowledge and try to help people change from that behavior. Who is quietly draining your life? Before we can ever protect our future, we have to figure out who is taking away from it. A subtractor takes away from your life. They drain energy. They drain confidence. They drain motivation and peace. Often it happens little by little. Subtractors rarely destroy your life overnight. They take a little bit of it every single day, little by little. When I was addicted to drugs, selling drugs, running around on my wife, not in my son's or my other kids' life, I was being a subtractor. I was living a destructive life. I was taking away from people in order for me to be happy where I wanted to be. I didn't care about what other people thought. I didn't care about their feelings. I cared about the money and the power. I was slowly draining the life out of people. I didn't mean to. I didn't know nothing about this framework, so I didn't know what I was being. I was just being me. But the drugs I was selling was taking away people from their life. I was subtracting them, if not dividing them, from what they were supposed to be doing. Some of them have never made it back. Some of them are still in that same destructive behavior that I put them in. I have to live with that. And if I can prevent you from being a subtractor or becoming a subtractor, then that's my goal. Because you don't want to live that life. There's no life in it. It's destructive. People don't want to be around you. People start to push you out. Answer your phone calls less. Even to this day, when you are mad at something and you're negative, I got a lot of people in my life that are subtractors, and they don't try to be. They don't necessarily know that that's what they're doing. Some people, if I was to confront them, they would get very defensive. They wouldn't allow it to go in their brain to where they're saying, yeah, I am being like that. They would automatically say, no, that ain't me. I'm not them. They don't like to be attacked. They don't like to be told that their behavior is wrong. So they get defensive about it. They stand up for it. I've been around subtractors most of my life. It's been hard to distance myself from them, even the ones that I love that are closest to me, because a lot of your family members, your spouses, your husbands, your brothers, your sisters, your nephews, your aunts, they have an impact, and a lot of them are very subtractive. Why? Because a lot of them aren't happy in their own lives. They're not happy that they have to go work hard every day. They're not happy that they have this or that they made this. They're not happy they married him or her. They should have done this when they were younger. They should have made this decision. So it causes them to be subtractive, to be negative. And we have to help them in some way to where we can begin to make them start making that mind shift. Because being a subtractor is only going to cause you to eventually probably get a divorce, have a breakup, teach your kids the wrong way. Being a subtractor, it can be bad. And that's the whole goal of this, is I want people to start realizing what they are and start changing that. Because once you change that, the people around you begin to see it and they start to change. And then when they start to change, they change people around them. Not everyone's going to go with you, as I've stated before. You'll start to change and people are going to doubt you. People are going to say, you've changed. You're not the person that I met. And that's okay, because some personalities just will never move out of the categories. But if you're a subtractor, you can get out of it and become an adder. It's a lot easier to come out of being a subtractor than it is a divider. Because dividers, it's a natural behavior. What the way they've been living for most of their life. Complaining, excuses, poor decisions. These are all subtractor personalities. And as I stated, I can sit here and want to change people's lives. I'm very positive. I help people that I'm around. I help uplift people. I bring them together. But then I wake up in the morning, go into a job that I do not like. It makes me money. It could be worse. I'm just not happy because it's not what I want to do, just like so many other Americans or people worldwide, not just Americans. Many people wake up every day not wanting to do what they do, but we have made decisions or we put ourselves in spots where we have to. And that's why I hope to become an adder and prevent you from making those decisions. And if you made those decisions, get past it. Don't keep subtracting. Don't be in a subtractor's mentality because of decisions that you made. It's not helping you. Get past it. Move forward. But when I go to work, I'm not happy. I'm not happy that I have to go out and do a part of a job that I'm not paid to do. So I'm negative. I talk to my coworkers and I'm always like, oh man, this sucks. This place isn't no good. Man, I'm not happy here. I need to step down. I call my boss sometimes and I'm telling him how I don't like it, what the problem is. I'm being a subtractor. I need to go to work and realize that my job could be worse. I could be doing something more that I don't love. I could be over the road when I don't want to be away from home. And so I have to, as a person, quit being this way. And I don't know, being that I don't like being there, if I'm going to be able to change that very easily. So in a way, it could be more of a dividing. It's like I'm trying to start an uprising of people to rebel. I have to stop that. And I didn't realize until I started doing this outline, until I started refreshing everything I read in this book, what my behavior is being. I want to be a multiplier, but yet I'm subtracting. I want to be an adder, but yet I'm talking negatively. I'm making excuses. It's a destructive behavior that I have to get rid of, that I have to work on. And as I've stated, this is why I'm doing the podcast. It's because I'm learning from it myself. It's therapy for me. Not only am I teaching you how to be better, but I'm learning as well how to become even better. Because we always need to grow. We always need to change. We always need to become better. Nobody needs to ever stay the same. Growth is a lifelong process. Before I could start identifying subtractors, I had to admit that I was one. I had to look deep down and realize that I was somebody that I didn't want to be. And then I decided that I'm not going to be that no more. And I'm way farther and way better of an adder than I ever was. But I still have subtractor behaviors, and I have to eliminate them. And I think the more that I talk and the more that I help people and go and travel, and it's going to help me to put aside more and more of that old attitude. It's taken me 10 years to get where I'm at now, and it's not going to stop. I still have 30, 40 years, hopefully, of changing that even more. Having an effect on people that will have them be like, Chris helped me. He changed my life. He became my multiplier or my adder. Because I'm more than happy to be just an adder in people's life, but my goal is to be a multiplier. And that section will be deep because being a multiplier is a big deal, but it's not easy to do. And you're only able to multiply a few times ever in a life or have a multiplier. It's very rare. Subtractors are people who go around and gossip. They have the victim mentality. They're always negative. They don't want to admit their wrongs. They're not accountable. They're always taking, but never giving. They're always causing drama and bringing drama. And tell me, right now, as I'm saying these, names are popping in your head. You know it, and I know it. Because it's doing the same thing for me right now. I can name people right now, but I won't. Because they don't necessarily mean to do that. And we can't shame people. We can't point fingers. All we can do is decide, okay, he's subtracting, she's subtracting. So now I'm going to call him a little less. I'm not going to go over there and hang out all the time like I used to. I'm going to realize that they're not bearing the fruit that I want. Because people rub off on you. Their decisions become your decisions. Their attitudes become your attitudes. What the famous saying is, you show me the people you run around with, and I'll show you your future. You show me the people that you hang with, and I'll show you what kind of thinking you're going to have. It might not be spot on, but I know that it's something like that. I've heard it before. You got to ask yourself, when you're around people, how do I feel when I'm around them? Do they make me tired? Do they drain me? Do I start to feel down and negative? Do I feel frustrated? Unmotivated? They're subtractors. They are subtracting away from you and your potential goals, your life. The cost of keeping these people around can be a lot. Lost opportunities, damaged relationships, bad habits, poor decisions. You're being emotionally exhausted. Growing up, my parents, people around me. I'm from a blue-collar family that worked every day. They hated their jobs. They hated their life. But instead of making it better, they drank it. They did drugs. They continued in a subtractor's mentality and behaviors, and eventually became that very person that they didn't want to be. Not meaning to, but growing into it. There was a few that even though they went and worked, they had to bust their butt every day and they had to raise kids, but they drank. They were still very much adders, living a subtractor lifestyle. We have to eliminate that whole mind frame, that whole way of living. And as I've stated, and I probably will in every single one of these episodes, the worst part of all this is not everybody can go with you. Not everybody's going to change. And it sucks. But in the end, we have to think about what's right for us, our families, our mind. Subtractors are not always bad people. I know a lot of subtractors that are really good people in their hearts, but they grew up around subtractive behaviors. They grew up around people that were subtracting. Then they started to fit in, and that's why I said the people you put yourself around have a big influence on anything that you become or anything that you think. And after you live with them years and years and years, you start to see how you form into that mold. And like I said, this has taken years and years of having these attitudes and having this mentality that it ain't going to change overnight. It's a process where we have to take baby steps. It took you 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, even more of forming into that behavior. So it's going to take years to get out of it. I'm 10 years into my change and I still got a long ways to go. Subtractors are hurting themselves. They're people who have their own problems. They're suffering from within on the same kind of things that we are or we were. Many of them learn these behaviors growing up. Many are trapped in their own pain. I was hurting. I was suffering. And in order for me to feel better, I had to have other people around me who were worse. And so I subtracted from their energy in order to make my energy better. And it didn't work. It just eventually made all of us miserable. We like to show empathy without excusing their behaviors. Understanding someone doesn't mean that we allow them control in our life. It doesn't mean that we have to be there for everything that they do. Discernment is another number one thing, and it will be an episode that I talk about, because you have to be able to discern things. Why do we keep them around? As I stated earlier, I kept them around because some of them were in worse situations than me. So if I kept them around, it made me feel like I wasn't doing so bad. That my behavior wasn't, I was justifying myself. Justifying my thoughts and my actions by feeding off of theirs. But familiarity, history, loneliness, fear of confrontation, fear of change. That's why we keep subtractors around, to justify our actions, our mentality, to make us not seem like we're so bad. Good news about a subtractor though, they can change. They need you though. They need your adding mentality, your multiplying mentality. You can't have a subtractor change if you are still subtracting. Just like you can't change if they're subtracting. You can change. Others can change. But change requires ownership. It requires accountability. You have to admit to yourself that you are being one of these categories. Because no matter what, you're one of them. One of the 4 categories. And if you're sitting here shaking your head and denying it, no, that's not me. Nah, I wouldn't do that. You're never going to change. You're going to stay in that same behavior, that same mind frame, and follow the same path that you've been following. Change requires honesty. It requires action. People can change, but we can't do the work for them. Just like with adders. Adders are going to uplift you. Adders are going to help you, but they're not going to do it for you. They're not going to hold your hand. It's going to be uncomfortable. And just like with being a subtractor, it's not going to be easy changing, but you can do it. It's a process. It takes time. You have to learn. You have to listen. Get yourself to where you don't think you know it all. Because regardless of whoever you are, you don't. Nobody does. Nobody has it all figured out. Nobody knows everything. We are all living on the same rock, living the same life, making the same decisions. But we have to protect ourselves. We have to limit exposure, create boundaries. If you're in the life of change and you're already changing, you're not doing the drugs, you're not drinking, but all your friends are still doing that. You have to put yourself in a position where you're not going to you have to be in a position where you can't put yourself over there because you know what it's going to do. You know that they're going to say, oh, just one more drink. Oh, one drink ain't going to hurt you. When one drink could completely throw you off course. So what you do is you say, no, I can't go out tonight. Or, hey, let's go to the pool instead. Let's go out to the lake. Let's go somewhere where it doesn't revolve around the destructive behaviors. You have to be intentional about your circle. You have to learn to replace negative influences, negative thoughts with positive influences and thoughts. Don't put yourself in a negative place and expect to be positive. You have to get rid of that negative behavior, that negative thinking. Put it aside. I don't need you no more. I've listened to you most of my life. You ain't helped me. And then you have to grab some of that positivity and consume it. Eat it. Love it. Hug it and adapt to it. Allow it to come into your life. You won't regret it. I promise that. Distance does not require hate. It does not require judgment. It requires you saying that I am a different person. I still love those guys. I still think about them. But I don't put myself around them. A guy that I grew up with. In one of my stories, he was the guy who I was getting it from. And at the time, he had his own problems, his own addictions. We'd been best friends for years. We were practically like brothers. He came to my house. My mom and my dad loved him, but he got hooked on his own. And while I was trusting him and everything, he was betraying me. He was using the money and buying me a cheaper product so he could fill his own addictions. It caused me to dislike him. It caused me to hate him. And I don't talk to him no more. I wrote him in prison. I forgave him, but I can't trust him no more. But I still think about him. I still miss the friendship that we did have when it was sincere. I don't hate him. I just can't be around him. I can't put myself out there in that position knowing that he could subtract from me. So now, look in the mirror. Go back through and look at your contacts. From episode 7, I had you make contacts. I had you label them and who you are in their life. Go down it. Because like I said, during this conversation, you know who you could call for chaos. You know who you could call if you want them to complain, come up with excuses. You can look at your contacts right now and name a few, if not all of them. We know who they are. We may not want to admit it. We might be friends with them for so long that we don't want to hurt them, but we still allow them to hurt us. So look at it. Look at your subtractors. Do you hang out with them every day? Do you allow them to take space in your mind? Maybe it's time to put it aside. Maybe it's time not to let them rent that spot in your head no more. Fill that with something else, a lot nicer, a lot easier. You can do it. It's not going to be easy. I have faith in you though. Change is only going to come once you admit it. Once you start to put into action the steps in order to get to where you want to go. We all want to change. We all want to be different. It might not be a thing such as big as being addicted to drugs, but there's stuff that we do that we don't want to do, every single one of us. Whether it's something we're thinking about, something we're watching, something we're smoking, something we're drinking. Where are you being a subtractor? At home? At work? To your friends? How do we stop that? How do we get away from it? How do we finally say, I'm being a subtractor and I don't want to be. I want to be somebody that people look up to. I want to change my mentality. Are you being a subtractor in your marriage? As a father? As a mother? In your relationships? With your friends? Before making your discernments, look at yourself first. How can you expect people not to be a subtractor if you're being one? So identify 3 subtractors in your life. Then identify the way you're being a subtractor in 3 people's lives. Create one boundary this week and then take one step towards being an adder today. Start to put it into motion of change. Subtractors do not only destroy your life dramatically, often they drain it slowly. Learn to recognize them. Learn to protect yourself. Most importantly, stop becoming one. Start being a positive light in people's life and remove the dark and destructive behavior. So, in the next episode, we are going to talk about ones that bring out the best in you. They amplify everything about your life. They're very far and few. You don't get many. You want to be able to respect them. Don't resist them. Listen to what they say. Implement what they're teaching in your life, because it will help you go farther than you've ever gone if you learn to accept it. These people are multipliers. They amplify, they uplift, and they see potential that nobody will ever see. They also see things in you before you ever do. These are very important people, and I hope to see you in episode 10.